The Dallas Mavericks have a huge offseason ahead of them. This is a team that has a star in Luka Doncic, and they also have his supposed co-star now in Kyrie Irving. But apart from that, they don't have much at all. I mean, they got Luka, they got Kyrie, Christian Wood rumored to be gone. They have the number 10 overall pick, but that's really their only asset on an aging roster. So today we're going to be talking about the Dallas Mavericks. Make sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button as well. Now let's go ahead and get started looking at the offseason preview. We'll start by taking a look at their offseason guide. As I mentioned, they have the number 10 overall pick in the draft, and personally I think they should trade it. Now there are some different thoughts floating around, but I think they should trade it. They also have about $28 million in cap room. However, Kyrie is a free agent, Christian Wood is a free agent, as is Dwight Powell. Kyrie and Christian Wood were two of your best players this year, apart from Luka Doncic. However, things just didn't work out with Kyrie once he came onto the team. Now I know there was such little time for them to mesh, but overall, we'll talk about the draft first. Option number 1 is they can stay at 10, and at 10, here's who I have them going out. Azor Thompson, a guy that he's super athletic and he can really defend, so he can automatically fit in at the 3 for this Mavericks team, and he can be dang good at the 3 for them. However, he needs to really work on his shot-making ability, and he also needs to work on really just an offensive game overall, because he dominated the Overtime Elite League, sure, but that's the Overtime Elite League. And that's not exactly Division I basketball. I don't even know if that's exactly Division II basketball. But hey, he dominated, so you got to give him his props. Now, Maxwell Lewis out of Pepperdine, he's a guy there that, he can really defend on the wing. He can shoot the 3 ball, and he kind of reminds me of a Jalen Williams last year coming out of the West Coast Conference as well, a guard or a wing that is about 6'7" and can do a little bit of everything with the ball. Now, option number 2 for them will be to trade this pick, and a candidate that pops up as a trade, suitor is the Brooklyn Nets. Now, could they go number 10 for number 21 and number 22? Maybe. I'm not sure if you'd be able to get both of those picks from the Nets, or even if that's enough for number 10. I'm not really sure where the market is right now on number 10, but obviously this is a good draft class. The number 10 pick is worth a good amount, so maybe you go 21, 22, and a player. Joe Harris, I know he's on a big contract, but he can knock down the 3 ball, even though he did have a bad season last year. He's a guy that can knock down the 3 ball, and I think he's a guy that maybe the Mavericks would like to go in and get and pair with Luka. You also got Seth Curry, who can really knock down the 3 ball as well on a smaller contract. He's been one of the more underrated players in the league for a while, in my opinion. And then the number 1 option here for me, if I'm the Mavericks, going and getting Cam Thomas. Now, I know you already have Jaden Hardy, and they're kind of the same player, except Cam Thomas doesn't play defense. That issue will need to be addressed, but I think it will be addressed, and I think it will be just fine. Now, as for picks 21 and 22, here's who I have them targeting. Jett Howard out of Michigan. Don't know if he falls that far, but he's a guy that if you can get him at like 21, that'd be a big pickup. A guy that can really shoot the 3 ball. His field goal percentage is down because of the volume that he shot the 3 ball at, but overall, a good prospect out of Michigan, 6'8", with guard skills, essentially. Now, Derek Lively, another guy here, I think he would be perfect for this Mavericks team. At 7'2", his hands almost touch the ground when he walks. That's how long this dude is. And I think he'd be a perfect guy to fit into this Mavericks team. They need somebody that can rebound. They need somebody that can protect the rim. And I think Derek Lively is that guy. And the Derek Whitehead is a guy at the end of the first round that you're going to take a swing on potential for. I know he had a lot of injuries, but preseason, he was like a top 5, top 10 projected pick in this draft. Now, looking at free agency, we talked about Kyrie as a free agent. I think you got to bring him back. You obviously need at least something for him. Even if you don't bring him back, you're going to have to do some sort of sign and trade. Now, there is the narrative out there that Kyrie and Luka don't fit well. Honestly, I don't know. There hasn't been enough time for them to play together. Obviously, they had the losing record, but it's going to take time for two ball-dominant players to figure out how to play alongside each other. Now, a sign and trade is definitely possible, but how much would you be able to sign him and trade him for? Now, Christian Wood has already said that he's probably not coming back. It has been reported he's probably gone, which is unfortunate for the Mavericks because he's a guy that I think he is so underrated just due to his all-around ability. They need to get some value out of him. So honestly, I'd look to the sign and trade market there as well if I'm the Mavs. Now, Dwight Powell, the last guy here, I don't think they need to really bother bringing him back. Most likely gone. He was just another big body kind of for him. But one of their biggest goals this offseason is going to be bringing in big men that can protect the rim and can control the paint. Dwight Powell at 31, I don't think he's going to be at the top of their list. Now, some guys that they need to potentially look to move on from. Maxi Kleber and Reggie Bullock. Both owed $11 million this offseason. They can trade these two guys who are both 32 years old and go out and get somebody for much cheaper, for much younger, that can do just as much. Tim Hardaway Jr., another guy here, 14.5 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 40% from the field, 39% from three. So the efficiency wasn't horrible. But he's a guy that he's owed $34 million over the next 2 years. He's been dropping off in production the last few years. I think it's time to move on from Tim Hardaway Jr. Some potential free agents for them. Dylan Brooks, a guy that, yes, his market value is much lower than it was, but he's still a good 3-and-D wing. No matter what he says to try and convince you otherwise, he's still a good 3-and-D wing. Terrence Ross, maybe not the best defender in the world, but coming over from the Phoenix Suns, would be a great microwave guy off that bench for you. And then Jalen McDaniels and Josh Richardson as well. All four of these guys are cheap options. McDaniels coming over from the Philadelphia 76ers. I would love that if I'm the Mavericks. And then Josh Richardson could come in on a very cheap deal as well. Both of those are win-win signings. And then you got Jakob Poeltl and Thomas Bryant. Really need rim protection. Now, I don't think Jakob Poeltl is the most ideal rim protector in the world. Neither is really Thomas Bryant to be your starting center, which is why I'm hopeful that they can trade back and go out and get a Derek Lively. But we will see. Those are just some options that you can throw out there. The future is not great. You look at their draft picks, they have a first-rounder this year, a first-rounder next year, first-rounder in 2026 and 2027, and then in 2028 and 2029. They don't have any second rounders except for 2025 and 2027. Now, they do have the majority of their first rounders, but it's going to be rough. I mean, if they do try to make a big trade, you don't have any seconds really to throw in, and you can only throw in a couple of firsts. So we'll see how they are able to maneuver this offseason. I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure about the Dallas Mavericks if I'm a Mavs fan. With that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like button, leave me a comment down below, and hit the subscribe button as well as turn on the post notifications so you don't miss out on any new videos about the NBA offseason. And with that being said, thanks so much for watching today's video.